Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Tuesday?
I'm great. I was a little disappointed in my results over the weekend in terms of picking the games accurately, but the games were good and it was great entertainment. I enjoyed every one.
What statistic came across where 88% of teams that win the turnover battle have won. So fumbles are also the issue this year. It's not picks. It's fumbles. Everybody's fumbling now. The Jets, you're in against that for your weekly report. They are a very, very bad team. Like they may have played all right. There's a stat that I'm gonna talk about when we get into your weekly recap that I don't think I've ever seen through 4 weeks. Like, it's really bad with the level of talent and this certain statistic that I'm gonna tell you. But yeah, we got a good show today. A lot to get into for week 4. I want to start with this though, because there's a lot of everybody knew going into week 4. There was one team, an undefeated team, that were like, are they frauds? That was the big thing. Is this team a fraud? Because they played some maybe mediocre teams, maybe not up to the standard people thought, and that obviously is the Indianapolis Colts. That did lose, in fact, to the Los Angeles Rams 27-20. Game kind of ended on a bad interception by Daniel Jones. But the Colts are not frauds. This is a legitimately good team. And anybody who says that the Colts are frauds, they're not paying attention to the game. Because this was a perfect opportunity. This game proved why the Colts are a serious contender for at least a decent playoff run. Because they should have won this game. A.D. Mitchell had 2 crucial mistakes that cost the Colts 14 points. The first one would be late in the game. Had an opportunity to score big. They were going right down the field. A.D. Mitchell has a beautiful catch, runs all the way down, reaches for the end zone, and fumbles out of the back of the end zone. Clutch it, run, that's your job. Catch, run, score touchdowns. You don't need to reach. Nobody was close to you. It's an unfortunate situation. And then when you're down, or I believe the game was tied at that point, you're trying to make a big-time play. What happens? Jonathan Taylor maybe has the run of the year, and you hold, negating a 53-yard rushing touchdown by Jonathan Taylor. That's a 14-point swing in favor of the Los Angeles Rams because there were so many opportunities, and they had them right there. They did their job, and A.D. Mitchell, unfortunately, cost the Colts 14 points. Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in the NFL. I think he has 100 yards more than the next highest receiver. Matthew Stafford play out of his mind. The Rams have a top 10 defense and a top 5 offense. So the fact that the Colts did this, were able to put up a very solid performance. Yes, Daniel Jones had a very bad throw to open the game and a very bad pick. He also ended on a very bad pick. He forced it. What can you do when your offensive line didn't do so well late? The defense was very underwhelming through large stretches of the game. Think about this. Late in the first half, 2 minutes left to go in the half. The Colts, the Rams, I believe, are on the 7-yard line. Their own 4-yard line, excuse me. They go 13 plays, 96 yards for a touchdown in 2 minutes and 7 seconds. The defense couldn't hold up. There was another 83-yard drive, an 88-yard drive, and this really bothered me. When they needed to have some form of a stop, when it was 2020, the Colts bring out 10 men. Then you have Mekhi Blackman, who fell down, and Tutu Atwell, who has a catch every 6 games, had a one-play 88-yard touchdown drive for the Los Angeles Rams. 10 guys. Lou Anarumo, what are you doing? This is the same guy who the Bengals defense had as their DC last year, who got fired. I think that this is a very, unfortunate opportunity for the Colts, but they are not frauds. I think, actually, here, how are we going to define a fraud? Because I think it's the level of expectation you have if you're a team. This team came into the NFL this season, 7.5 over-under win total. They were only favored in 4 games. So can we calm it down a little bit? They nearly have the amount of games they're favored in. They're nearly surpassing that already. And their next game is going up against the Las Vegas Raiders with Geno Smith, who looks about 1 billion years old and who has the eyes of a blind person because he keeps throwing it to the other team. His team wears white, black, and silver. Not the Bears colors, not the Chargers colors. No, they wear white, black, and silver. So Geno Smith, he has a really, really bad interception problem. I think he has 7 picks this season. He looks really, really bad. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell have been much better quarterbacks than Geno Smith, but he's making all that money now. You sign him to like a 2 or 3 year extension. You're kind of stuck with him. So the Colts have a very good opportunity until their Week 11 bye. Can they beat the Raiders? Yes. Can they beat the Cardinals? Yes. Can they obliterate the Titans? Yes. How will we feel against the Steelers? I think they have a pretty good shot, and I think they could beat the Atlanta Falcons. So if we take a look at it, there's 5 wins coming up right now. So you're looking at a team that has at least 8 wins through the first 11 games. Then you also play the Texans. Then you play the Jaguars, the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Texans. So there are a lot of games where you can come out on top here. They're one of the most efficient offenses still in the league. Daniel Jones statistically is a top 5 quarterback in basically every single category. The EPA per play in the passing game is still number 1 in the NFL. Their overall team EPA is still tied with the Buffalo Bills at number 1. So the Colts are going to be just fine. I've ripped on Daniel Jones basically my entire time doing this show. So I think I should be the first person that understands if Daniel Jones plays poorly. Did he have 2 bad interceptions? Yeah. The first one was an underthrow. If he sent it more either over the head or just a little bit more to the right to A.D. Mitchell, it probably would have been a very nice completion, except it got underthrown and got intercepted. The very last one was a forced play. It was really, really bad. The defense came in spurts of really poor play, but then throughout the game had opportunities to stop him and force a punt, and they did. But ultimately, they were that close. I mean, we're talking about a Colts team that should have left SoFi Stadium 4-0. Instead, it goes back to Indianapolis going 3-1 and should still feel pretty good about itself because it went up against arguably a top 5 team in the NFL with the number 1 wide receiver, a top 4 offense, and a top 10 defense, and was that close to winning. The Colts are not frauds. Their defense needs a little bit of work. Lou Anarumo's secondary keeps getting cooked. Puka Nacua, 170 yards. Everybody knows on 3rd down, they're going to go to him. Yet, it still worked. There were a lot of, opportunities. Matthew Stafford probably should have had a couple interceptions there as well. The Colts couldn't get their hands on it. There was one by Zaire Franklin. He could have had a nice interception, but didn't. There were opportunities to be had. But ultimately, though, I thought the Colts played fine. Jonathan Taylor wasn't a huge part of this game. He did have 4.5 yards a carry. I think it's like 76 rushing yards, I want to say, 70 rushing yards. So he was okay. He was fine. But it wasn't the dominant 100-plus rushing yard game that we expect from Jonathan Taylor or that we've seen so far this season because he's been, I think, the number 1 running back in the NFL so far. So Daniel Jones, he's played fine. He's played shockingly well, and I think that's the expectation. This team was favored in 4 games to enter the season. Their over-under win total, 7.5. And they're already basically halfway there. So I have no worries that Daniel Jones and this Colts offense will get it done because they have. They have a very good offensive line. They have a tremendous running back. They have great depth at wide receiver. Tyler Warren is a massive hit. Michael Pittman Jr., he's one of my favorite players in the league. He's a very, very good number 2. He's the number 1 wide receiver, but he's a very solid number 2 wide receiver on a really good team. Daniel Jones is fine. He doesn't need to be the guy throwing it, 45 times to need 350 yards to win games. That's not what he was successful. He wasn't that successful doing that with the New York Giants. It was better when he was efficient, play action, dink and dunk here and there. He's taken more deep shots than he really ever has in his career. So I think we all need to just calm it down. The Colts are not frauds. Anybody who's saying that isn't watching the games, is not looking at the efficiency. I think it's going to be fine. And that's me. I've ripped on Daniel Jones, like I said, basically my entire time doing this show because I saw him with the New York Giants, and it was pitiful to watch. On the Colts, I'm like, it should be fine. They have a lot of tools for Daniel Jones to work with. Shane Steichen, I think, is a tremendous head coach that works well with these types of quarterbacks. He did a great job with Justin Herbert. He did a good job with Jalen Hurts. And he's doing a fine job with Daniel Jones. The Anthony Richardson thing, it's unfortunate. Richardson's just not a great quarterback. Like I said, he plays Madden. Deep shot. 1-play touchdown. Over 20% deep pass percentage last year and was the worst deep passer in the NFL. He can't really fix that. Daniel Jones, he dinks and dunks. That's what I criticize him for. and he's one of the best deep ball efficiency quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the best intermediate passers in the league as well. He's been fine. The Colts are going to be fine. I think they're going to make the playoffs. This division is abysmal. The Texans can't get their offense right. The Titans are the worst team in the NFL right now. And the Jaguars, they're great at takeaways, but Trevor Lawrence hasn't done so well this season. He hasn't earned his money yet. So I think that the Colts are going to win this division. They're going to be just fine. They're probably going to be the 3 seed. I actually think that they have a shot at being the 3 seed because the AFC North is a complete mess right now. So if you're worried, if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, it's okay. You're 3-1 going in to a relatively easy matchup at home against the Raiders, who can't stop turning the ball over. It was -6.5. Again, I'm saying this on Tuesday. That's a lock for the Harvey hot end, -6.5 in favor of the Indianapolis Colts. So yeah, lock that in. That's one of my picks for the Harvey hot end, because this should be an easy game. This is a revenge game. They were that close to beating the Rams with a tremendous defense. I mean, the defense is absolutely absurd. Poona Ford, Byron Young, Jared Verse, serious pass rushers there who really disrupted lanes in this game. And they were already that close. If A.D. Mitchell just didn't fumble in the back of the end zone and decided to hold on a beautiful run by Jonathan Taylor, Colts are 4-0 leaving SoFi, going back home to probably be 5 and maybe 6-0 at home against the Raiders and the Cardinals. So have a lot of faith if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan. All right, let's talk about this one. I said that this was an absolute lock and this team's going to get destroyed, and I was very, very wrong because, my God, what a game for Jaxson Dart and the New York Giants. Everything that needed to go right went right. I thought Jaxson Dart played incredibly well. I don't think the stats, the box score does this game justice, does Jaxson Dart any justice, because the stats aren't that good. He has like 160 total yards, but that's not really what I was looking at when I saw this game. I think right now the first thing I was looking at was controlling the pocket. He sensed pressure, he left. If things weren't open, he left. He didn't stay there and where is the guy open? Is he? And then just huddling and crouching and then getting sacked. Or I'll give him this. He didn't hit the goalpost 3 times in the red zone. I mean, I think he did a tremendous job going up against this level of competition. Just think about it. They were 31st on 3rd down with Russell Wilson a quarterback this season. They were 11 of 40, which is 27.5%, which was 31st. The only other team that was worse, I believe, I could be mistaken. I thought it was the Texans, and I might be wrong. I know the red zone was the Texans. I'll get into that in a second. In this game, Jaxson Dart led this offense. They were 7 and 15, 11 and 40, 27.5%, 7 and 15 in this game against a Chargers defense led by Jim Harbaugh with some serious playmakers. Jaxson Dart operated beautifully, getting it to the open guy. And we're talking, this is 2.5 quarters without Malik Neighbors, who tore his ACL. So he was doing it, honestly, with a pretty high level of adversity because he didn't have the number one threat that the Giants have. They didn't have the number one playmaker. And that's kind of what I want to see. A lot of these guys, Brock Purdy, a lot of these young guys who have a lot of these really high talented players, is like, okay, well, what happens if they're not there? How will you perform? Well, we just saw that. Jaxson Dart, first ever start in the NFL without the number one guy on offense for them. What does he do? Operates pretty nicely. Again, the stats aren't there. You can't look at the stats for this game. You got to look at how efficient was he, how effective was he. The opening drive, he was probably as perfect as you could be, on script with Brian Daboll. He ran it a couple times. The Chargers one time only rushed 2. What did he do? Step up in the pocket, draw the 2. For some reason, they had like 2 quarterback spies or really close zone defense routes. He just stepped up in the pocket, made a very nice throw, kept the chains moving. They rushed 4, sensed pressure. What does he do? Runs it 15 yards for his first NFL touchdown. He looked poised in the pocket. I think he played really, really well. And ultimately, the Giants' defense, which was a big disappointment this year, so far in this game, they did incredible. Now, Joe Alt went down, so maybe it's an asterisk there. That maybe not. But ultimately, they did a tremendous job. Dexter Lawrence nearly had a pick 6 in this game. Abdul Carter had 8 pressures. He had 5 QB hits and 3 hurries. The defense played well. Phillips had 3 pass breakups. He did really, really well in this game. So I think right now I was incredibly impressed with Jaxson Dart. And I think that this is a really, really bad look. Really bad look for Russell Wilson. Because while the red zone offense is still absolutely horrific, dead last in the NFL, which is terrible because before this game, the dead last team in the red zone was the Houston Texans at 0-4 in the red zone, 0%. Somehow the Giants were able to surpass that in this game because the Texans scored a couple times in the red zone against the Titans, which raised their red zone percentage. The Giants still have the worst. They're 4 of 15 in the red zone, 26.7%. So they need to work on their red zone still. But for a rookie's first ever start going up against a Jim Harbaugh-led defense with Justin Herbert on the other side with Omarion Hampton, with Quinton Johnston playing well, Keenan Allen, I mean, they got some dudes. And you were able to put up this performance, I'm incredibly impressed. I think that one of the situation, and the reason why I say it's a bad look for Russell Wilson is Dart had this big-time run where he's barreling through guys. It got called back due to a penalty, but the spotter in the stands had to take him out for a couple plays. So what do? You have to put Russ in. He's the backup quarterback. The very first play, Russ looks for Daniel Bellinger up the left seam, who's going for a deep ball route. He has, I believe it was Jalen Hyatt at the top of the screen, if you look at the replay, has him wide open on a simple hitch route. What does he do? Look up the seam for the deep ball, and then all of a sudden when it's not there, when he's covered, you see Russ do what he has done all season, crouch and try to figure his way out, and then ultimately he got sacked. And on the very next play after that, it was a check down 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, which was able to, have an 8-yard gain. But ultimately, Jaxson Dart operated this offense beautifully, able to make second down, third downs into first downs. He did a really, really good job. Now, the stats need to be there for some other games because maybe you're not going to play up against a battered offensive line of the Los Angeles Chargers, or Justin Herbert won't throw 2 bad interceptions, one to a defensive tackle. So, yeah, you're not going to have those games generally, but the fact that you're able to do this in Jaxson Dart's first start, and he looked good, no turnovers from him, that's the big thing. I think that we commend it. My grade for him was a B-. I can't give him anything higher than that, really, because the stats aren't there. He didn't have 5 touchdowns. He didn't have, even 200 yards. Hell, he didn't even have like 150 yards passing. He had like 111 or something like that with like 50 yards rushing. But he was able to score 2 touchdowns. So I got to commend him with that at least. So the Giants, I don't know how they're going to turn out this season. Jaxson Dart played great against a bad team right now because of just how banged up they are on the offensive line, and their defense capitalized on that. Because, again, a lot of these situations is how do you capitalize on mistakes? And that was my argument for the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens week 1. It's like, yeah, Derrick Henry fumbled the ball. If the Bills don't go down and score touchdowns, they're not coming back still, regardless of how bad, the Ravens were choking. If you can't capitalize on mistakes, okay, yeah, the mistakes look bad on paper, but you could say that's an ugly win. So the Giants were able to capitalize on some massive mistakes by the Chargers. An unfortunate situation for the left guard of the Los Angeles Chargers, basically injuring Joe Alt after already being down Rashawn Slater. But make no mistake, the Giants, they play the Saints. So there's an opportunity for 2 wins this past week and this next week going up against the Saints in New Orleans. But how many more games are you going to win after that? Because you still got to play Philly twice and Denver in a 3-game span. Denver, who just made the Bengals look like a peewee football team. Then you got the 49ers, the Bears. What will they be at this point in Week 10? The Packers, will they figure out their defense? Because their defense really suffered against the Dallas Cowboys. The Lions, who play the Patriots, who Drake May is actually one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. The Commanders, the Vikings with their defense, will they get back on track? The Raiders, you should actually beat them. And then the Dallas Cowboys. So you have an opportunity here for a couple wins here and there. But ultimately, though, I think with this, you saw how happy Brian Daboll was. And that adds on to it that, yeah, the offense may not be great. We may not have a great running game. But we do have to realize that Brian Daboll's reaction, I think, was a 2-parter. The first one would be, you just saved me my job for a couple weeks. And I was right. We should have put you in. Because if Jaxson Dart has a dud game, how many people are thinking that Brian Daboll lives until week 8 or 9 when they go Philly, Denver, Philly, 49ers? I mean, they're probably going to get obliterated. Let's be honest. Because the Eagles somehow, even though A.J. Brown is back, in his feelings about not getting the ball, even though he's targeted 9 times. He's back with these cryptic messages, which we've talked about for the last 2 years. This is year 3 of this nonsense. They're somehow winning still. So that just shows some teams could really win very ugly and still be a very, very, fearsome team. But no, I got to give a lot of credit. Brian Daboll made the right choice. I thought he may have held out until week 5 to put him in against the Saints because they're a little bit of a nicer matchup. But after everybody saw the Chiefs game. Sunday Night Football, you're going down late in the game. You're in the red zone. You go intentional grounding, bad QB sneak. Then you sail another pass, and on 4th and goal, you hit the goalpost. You had to make a change. Brian Daboll made the change, and at a beautiful time, your defense capitalized on the Chargers' mistakes. Jaxson Dart operated the pocket as good as you can expect, again, with the circumstances provided. And he was able to come out and keep the lead and still put up 11 points after Malik Neighbors went down. That should be commended. Again, the numbers have to be there at some point. You can't go your entire career throwing up 111 yards passing and 50 yards rushing. 160, 70 total yards is not going to cut it. So, again, B-. You operated very well under the circumstances. You did not lose the game for your team. The right side of the offensive line for the Giants is absolutely terrible. We're talking about 5 pressures allowed of 6 on the offensive line and 4 sacks allowed on the right side of the offensive line. Illuminor and then Greg Van Roten. That's rough. And then John Michael Schmidt also, I believe, had the other pressure as well. So, you got to figure that out. You have to. I don't know if you want to put Evan Neal, although he might be significantly worse, but the left side of the offensive line, John Runyon and then Andrew Thomas did a great job. A really, really good job against the Chargers defensive front. That right side, though, if Jaxson Dart still wants to have a head by the end of the season, I would say try to shore up that offensive line on the right side. Maybe throw a tight end block here and there just to try to slow down the edge rushers. But hey, if you're 31st in third down percentage before this game, and then all of a sudden you go 7 of 15 against a Jim Harbaugh-led defense, what can I say? You did a great job. If you're able to operate the red zone better than what Russ did through 3 games, good. Your red zone percentage increased. So, but barely. I mean, we're talking about the fact that you now just got surpassed by a team that was dead last in red zone at 0%, and your red zone percentage, I'll double check, is 26.7%. You're dead last in the NFL, but you got to be better in the red zone. You got to shore up you have to shore that up because, you can't keep kicking field goals in the red zone. It's not going to cut it. So get that fixed, and then the Giants may have an opportunity to maybe win 3 games. Maybe they were close against the Cowboys. Maybe last week of the season, if one of the teams is already in the playoffs or eliminated, Jaxson Dart could get a win there. I expect them to beat the Raiders. I think they have an opportunity to beat the Bears because the offensive line may stink there. Then I think you could definitely win this week against the New Orleans Saints. There's opportunity to be had there. It's just about now capitalizing on those opportunities. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, but coming up, it's the same thing for the Baltimore Ravens against the Kansas City Chiefs. Nothing's changed. Now, could this be a facade for the Chiefs? Maybe. We'll talk about that. But it's the exact same thing for the Baltimore Ravens. The same issues present itself, as well as weekly report. Week 4, my dad does the weekly report. For every single game, he gives the key takeaway and the headline for each game of Week 4. We'll talk about all that, as well as we'll be breaking down Thursday Night Football. All that coming up right after this break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. where they're finding inner balance, and why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show. So we have an update for this particular situation, but the Baltimore Ravens, they went up against Kansas City Chiefs and looked as bad as you might expect in that second half. Lamar Jackson went down sometime in the third quarter with a hamstring injury, and the report is he's expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks and is already ruled out for Week 5's matchup. So that's a big one for the Baltimore Ravens. They were 7.5 point favorites. Now they're 2.5 point underdogs. So it's a massive point swing this week for the Baltimore Ravens. It's not looking good. They may be in danger of being like 1-5 in the next few weeks by their bye week. So it's going to look pretty ugly. But Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs look back. 270 yards for Mahomes, 4 touchdowns. He moves to 6-1 against Lamar Jackson, and it really hasn't even been close amongst the two quarterbacks. Mahomes, statistically, we showed it last week. Mahomes absolutely dominates in this competition. Overall, I have a lot to get into with this, but I want to know what your reaction was to this game between these two teams.
Well, Kansas City 37, Ravens 20. Kansas City 2-2, Ravens 1-3. The Chiefs' offense reawakened with the return of Xavier Worthy, who put the hurts on a porous Ravens defense expertly. That was my take on this one. Worthy's speed and presence created several advantageous matchups for Mahomes, who had an excellent game, completing passes to 9 different receivers. The Ravens' defensive injuries also contributed to, I think, the Chiefs' offensive success here. The Ravens have been 1-3 twice before in the last 15 years and failed to reach the playoffs each time. And as you said, now Lamar being out for 2 to 3 more weeks, who knows? They could be 1-5. That would be, then they're done for sure. So they're in big trouble. This hamstring injury, I don't know. I've had a hamstring injury before. They take a while to heal, man. And I don't know how bad Lamar's is. I heard that he could have gone back into the game, they said. So I don't know how bad this injury is. I think maybe he tweaked it a little bit and they took him out because they knew they were losing and they didn't want to embarrass him. So I don't know. We'll see whether he's really out or it's a smokescreen. That defense, the Ravens defense, is terrible. It's given up 133 points. They had 3 more injuries on defense in this game. Roquan Smith, the linebacker, who's the key to their defense. Wiggins and Humphrey, both corners. Now 7 starters are out. You look at the stats. Mahomes, a great game, 25 of 37, 270 yards, as you mentioned, but 4 touchdown passes. Worthy, 2. He was the leading rusher for them with two carries for 38 yards. And he was also the leading pass catcher of 5 receptions for 83 yards, and Kelsey had 5 for 48. On the other side, Jackson, he was out almost half the game, 14 of 20, 147 yards, 1 TD and an interception. Hill was the leading rusher, 3 for 76 with a TD. Henry only had 8 carries for 42 yards. Flowers had 7 receptions for 74 yards. Chiefs defense really contained the Ravens, but again, Millar out of the game with a lot of time left to go. I think it's a redemption for the Chiefs in some respects. They look like a Super Bowl contender in this game instead of a sputtering offense that's dinking and dunking and Mahomes being very inaccurate. He really looked great, and the receiving core looked good, and they haven't even gotten Rashid Rice back yet. So I think things are looking up for the Chiefs. It was a must-win for them. They were at home. I'm not sure why I didn't pick them now that I think about it.
Well, that was my big thing when I said the reason why I was picking the Ravens is because this was a must-win. You had to win this game because not only is it just the fact that you're going to be a terrible 1-3, it was the fact that morale-wise, how are you going to go into the next matchup if you do somehow make the playoffs and you let's say you go up against the Chiefs? How do you have any confidence that you're actually going to beat the Chiefs? You haven't. You beat them once years ago. So how are you going to go and say, we got it this time? No, you don't. No, you don't. I have a slightly different take than you because we knew the defense was bad. That's been known. However, the problems weren't the defense through about half of this game because they did their job. They did a fine job. There were a lot of opportunities. The Chiefs drove right down, but had to kick field goals, not touchdowns. So the defense did an okay job because at one point in this game, it was 7-3. Then it was 7-6. And I noticed some things, and I watched the all 22 this morning. Lamar Jackson, that first drive, 5 of 5, 50 yards, 147.9 passer rating. The rest of the game, 9 of 15, 97 yards, and a 51.2 passer rating. On script, making the plays matter, Lamar was fine. But then I started to notice a lot of, again, the hesitations, the second guessing. This was the most egregious one that I found, but I'm going to get into a couple of these. I only have one visual example, but I'll break down a couple more of these examples. This was one play in particular. The second drive of the game, 5:32 in the first quarter. Just take a look at this play because I think it's so ridiculous. DeAndre Hopkins at the bottom of your screen. And right now they've only used him for goal balls. He's wide open in the middle of the field. There's no defender within 7 to 8 yards of him. And Lamar kind of just hesitates, doesn't see him. I mean, it looks like he's staring right at him. He just doesn't find him at all. Like these, they've only used him for goal balls. I'm like, why don't you use DeAndre Hopkins for a little bit more than just sending it? He was wide open, and there were several opportunities in this game, and I'm going to go through a couple right now, where Lamar had players open and did not throw it at all. Another example. I mean, this was really bad. On that same drive, Zay Flowers had a big-time catch, plus they got an unnecessary roughness call on the Kansas City Chiefs, so that's another massive gain. On the very next play, they were driving right down. On the very next play, Lamar gets pressured, rolls out to his right, and instead of taking the sack or throwing it away, he throws it to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it was Leo Chanel, I think, got the interception. It might have been. But it was a crazy catch, but he threw it into harm's way. That's a bad interception. And then the Chiefs go right down and they score a touchdown. Or they score a field goal. But that's, again, they scored a field goal. What do you do? Or rather, they got an interception. What does your defense do? Held them to a field goal instead of a touchdown. They could have been up 10-7 right now. Instead, it's 7-6, an opportunity. The first drive of the second quarter, they had more penalties than completions. They had the same amount of delay of game penalties than completions on this drive. The first play of that drive, Derrick Henry, 11-yard run. The second play, a delay of game. The third play, a 10-yard reception by Derrick Henry. The fourth play, a delay of game. The fifth play, an intentional grounding. If you look at the play, Rashad Bateman is wide open on the left side of the field. They lined up in a trips formation. There were two defenders on the left side, and you could see the linebacker and the outside corner about to blitz. It was kind of obvious, although obviously disguises happen, but it seemed pretty obvious because they kept creeping up closer to the offensive line. And what does Lamar do? Roll right and throw it like 30 yards out of bounds. He didn't even look to the left side of the offensive line, and Rashad Bateman was wide open because the backside, or Tylan Wallace was open, excuse me. Oh, no, this was Rashad Bateman. I'm going to get into a Tylan Wallace situation. But, like, there were some very obvious plays, and then the final play of that one was a Justice Hill 11-yard reception. Then they punted. Was it 4th and 1, 3 minutes in the first half. He heaves it out of bounds, and this is the trips play. Tylan Wallace. He looked at D-Hop for he was completely covered. Look for D-Hop, chucked it. I mean, it was this offense did not run effectively whatsoever. You had the backside safety having gone across the field to Tylan Wallace to try to cover him. He had players open, didn't see it. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Lamar in this game. He tried running a lot of the time and then hesitated and then got tackled behind the line. He seemed very indecisive, not knowing when to scramble, not knowing when to take a shot, not knowing when to dump it off. I don't think Todd Monken's doing him a favor at all so far this season. I'm going to get into the defensive side, but the offensive side shocks me. Because, again, we're talking about an offense that is at a very, very explosive offense since Lamar got there. And it's been terrible. Here's something that I keep talking about that we've spoken about before on this show. Last season in particular. I have no idea what Todd Monken's doing with Derrick Henry. I really don't. In the first half, 4 carries, 33 yards. That's 8.25 yards a carry. You only give it to him 4 times. This game was 7-6. It's not like you're getting blown out and can't run the football. Ultimately, he ended up with 8 carries. Bring up my favorite graphic that really tells the story of Derrick Henry. What is the rule with Derrick Henry? You give him the damn ball, 15 or more carries. These are the numbers. The Ravens are 12-4 when Derrick Henry carries it 15 or more times. They're 2-5 when he carries it 0 to 14 times. I mean, just look at the numbers. They win by 10, basically, yeah, over 10 points. Their average point differential is in those games. They barely are positive when he doesn't carry it 15 times. The numbers are there. Overall, for Derrick Henry's career, though, he has a 66.3% winning percentage when he carries it 15 or more times, a 37% winning percentage when he carries it less than 15 times. Give him the damn football, please. Todd Monken giving it to him 4 times, and he was very efficient with it. 8.25 yards a carry. That is coaching malpractice. You have Derrick Henry. Yeah, he's fumbled in 3 straight games. You know who else is starting who has a fumble issue? Ramondre Stevenson. He's the starting running back for the New England Patriots still. He has the 2nd most fumbles in the NFL since coming into the league. You know what they do? They start him. They still hand the ball off to him. And he's nowhere near the level of a Derrick Henry. Defensively, what can you expect? The team's bad. Marlon Humphrey's been one of their keystone guys. He's played terribly this season. Over, the course of like a major coverage defensive back, he's the worst graded coverage defensive back on the Baltimore Ravens. He's allowed a 141.8 passer rating, 2 touchdowns, 244 yards allowed when targeted. All worst on the team. He's been absolutely abysmal. Roquan Smith has been very underwhelming this season. Matabike, who's out for the year, it's a very, very rough loss. Jair Alexander played 1 game for them against Buffalo, and he's the reason why the Buffalo Bills actually went all the way down, able to kick the game-winning field goal. He had a massive catch allowed, and then tackled Keon Coleman instead of just letting him score and giving the Ravens an opportunity to go down and win. The Ravens have been very, very underwhelming. But it's now both sides of the ball. The defense has been bad. They've been bad a lot of the years. Last year when they made the playoffs, they were bad to start the year. The year before that, also pretty bad. So we're in familiar territory. And the offense is very, very explosive. But now in games like this, the Chiefs have Lamar's number. They don't really do anything that surprising. They kind of just let Lamar stay in the pocket and throw the football. Because, again, it's the same exact thing in the championship game. The running backs ran it, 6 times? And the Chiefs had a terrible running defense. A great pass defense, and they let Lamar throw it. That was Todd Monken's first year. And in this game, Derrick Henry runs it 8 times, 4 times in the first half in a 1-point game.
That's hard to believe.
The whole method with Patrick Mahomes is don't give him the ball. Mm-hmm. Maintain time of possession. And they kept throwing it and throwing it and throwing it and throw.
So what can the Ravens do? What do you suggest?
Oh, now they're screwed.
You think they're done for the year? This is it. They're not going to make the playoffs. It's over.
I think it's going to be. I think they're missing the playoffs. Yeah. Oh, big time.
Wow.
Big time.
Well, that's a big. That's a big conclusion when we're in game 4 games played.
Is it, though? Lamar's not playing great. He's playing really, really poorly.
But Lamar Jackson
the last 2 weeks,
it was runner-up for the MVP last year. Maybe he should have gotten it. He's not a slouch by any stretch.
I'm not saying he is.
Derrick Henry.
I'm watching the games here. He's hesitating the last 2 weeks.
In this last game, you're right. He should have carried the ball more than 4 times when he's averaging 8 yards a carry. I don't get that.
Just go down the play-by-play.
The defense last year was crummy at the beginning, and it was much better at the end, but they didn't have the kind of injuries they have this year. So you may be right. Maybe they're not going to make the playoffs now. When they were 1-3 twice in the last 15 years, they didn't make the playoffs. So they're 1-3 now. Maybe it's over.
Well, let's go through the schedule then, just to be sure. So right now they're up against the Houston Texans at home with a backup quarterback. The Texans are favored in this game.
I'm not so sure. Well, I bet that will be a close game.
Give me your win-loss.
It's not. I don't pick that just yet. We'll do that on Friday.
Okay, then we'll
But I think there'll be a close game. We'll see whether I pick them or not.
Okay,
I would lean towards picking them at home.
So I'll mark you in for that. The Rams at home.
Boy, that's a tough one. I would say that's not. They're probably not going to win that game.
Okay, then they have a bye week, week 7. Then the Bears at home.
I think they win that.
Okay, and then the Dolphins away.
They'll win that.
Vikings away.
The Vikings, it's an interesting game. We're going to talk about it in the recap. I don't have much faith in J.J. McCarthy, but I would say Wentz. He threw for 350 yards in that game. They lost.
He was so bad, though.
Yeah, but, maybe he can clean that up a little bit. I mean, he did throw for 350 yards. Jefferson had 126 yards, 10 receptions.
He put him in a hole.
So I don't know. I would say the Ravens win that game.
Okay, at the Browns.
They'll win that game.
Home against the Jets.
They'll win that.
Home against the Bengals.
Oh, they're going to win that.
Home against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Maybe they lose that one.
At Cincinnati.
They'll win that.
Burrow might be back. Then just gonna give you a little.
Yeah, well, he'll be rusty.
Home against the Patriots.
They'll win that.
Shocked. At Green Bay.
They'll lose.
And then at Steelers.
They'll win. They'll split with the Steelers.
So they'll lose that one.
So they're making the playoffs, I think. How many games is that?
You have them going 11-6.
They're gonna win. They're gonna make the playoffs.
They are not going 11-6.
You don't think so?
Not at all. I think of Lamar.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of that.
I think their defense is really that bad. They may lose the next 3 games, including the Bears.
They'll find a way to shore up the defense a little bit. They got a pretty easy schedule there.
Right?
But you look at that schedule; it's not that tough.
Right, but I'm taking a look at the fact that they again on paper they have dudes. They're not showing up.
Well, they got to fix that. And they got them Munkin. So. I think Munkin. Somebody's got to talk to him too about in-game decision making. There, not giving the ball to Derrick Henry. Send him your stat sheet there. That's the proof. 12-4, 15 carries.
All you do, just give him the damn ball.
Well, he only had 8 carries.
Just give him the. Really, it's not that difficult. Just give him the football.
8 carries. 8 carries.
8 carries.
Yeah. That was terrible.
4 in the first half.
Yeah. He's got to be upset. If I were him, I'd be upset.
I get it, you have a fumble issue, but again, Ramondre Stevenson can't stop turning the ball over. He's the starting running back still.
No, but they did change his workload. They cut it back. He only had 12 carries in the last game, and they're making it a running back by committee, and none of them fumbled the ball. They all fumbled it last week. He
was still the leading ball carrier. 9 carries, 38 yards.
Yeah, but 38 yards. I mean, that's not much. 9 carries.
But he's still getting the
That's true, but they did cut his workload back quite a bit.
All I'm saying is they still give it to him more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Stop giving the ball to Justice Hill and start giving it to, the guy who weighs 260 pounds.
I know.
Who averages 6.4 yards a carry.
He always gets good yardage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he just moves everybody when he hits the line.
It's hard to tackle him.
Yeah.
The dude was built like a tank.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll let him throw the ball now more.
Last time they did that against the Lions, they got picked off. 18 rushing touchdowns when he carries more than 15 or more yards. And that's just in the last 2 seasons with Baltimore.
Yeah.
Just hand him sometimes it is that simple. You have a guy who's an ultimate playmaker who's going to make the Hall of Fame. And you give it to him in you aren't getting blown out. It's not one of those times where it's like, well, you need to pass the ball because you're down so much. It's a 1-point game and a 4-point game.
Well, now
and a 7-point game.
It's going to be tougher now because Lamar's not going to be in there for a while, and they're going to key on him. But I'm not so sure that's true, Nate. You wait and see. It might be a smokescreen because Harbaugh did say the game was close. Lamar would have been back in there, so he can't be hurt too badly.
Well, the fact that he's out 2 to 3 weeks and already ruled out for this week, it's bad enough he has to miss time.
We'll see.
I mean, think of it. Right now, their quarterback, Cooper Rush is their quarterback. He didn't look great.
He looked terrible. He looked terrible. He really did. I mean.
Also, Ronnie Stanley left this game as well.
Oh, yeah? Well.
But again, when things were going all right, the offense just needed to step up. And again, that's why I'm focusing on the first half only, or before Lamar got hurt. Because this was still a game where the Ravens were winning. They were in the lead. that even though they didn't play great defensively and letting the Chiefs go all the way down in the red zone, they were stopping them, making them kick field goals. So this is before, it just completely fell apart. Where very late in the second quarter, all of a sudden it was, okay, touchdown. The Chiefs just, took the game away at that point. But up to that point, it was a 7-6 ball game, and the Ravens were doing just fine defensively, and the offense couldn't do anything.
The Chiefs looked pretty good, I must say. Their receiving core looked like a Super Bowl contender, and Mahomes had his best game in quite a while. They were hitting on all cylinders. They may not have scored early when they got down there, but late in the game, look at the final score.
37-20.
Yeah. That says it all.
Talk about smokescreen. Why can't the Chiefs be a smokescreen?
In what regard? What do you mean?
I'm going to little hint at your weekly recap here. You think they're in Super Bowl form?
They looked like that.
I don't think so.
They looked like they were in Super Bowl form. They scored 37 points.
Right, that's what I mean.
And
could that be a smokescreen?
Well, maybe because the defense is so bad that made them look better than they really are. But who do they play next?
They play the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Could be a tough game. The Jacksonville's defense is very good this year so
they're
far.
Incredible. They're incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking about your weekly recap, let's actually get into that right now. So every single week, besides week 2 of this NFL season so far, you have broken down every single game. We call it the weekly report. You give a headline and the key takeaway from each game throughout each week. So let's begin with the first matchup of week 4 that you're going to cover. The New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. What's your takeaway from this game?
Do you have the headline? Put the headline up there. The Jets' turnovers and penalties hand victory to the Dolphins. The score, Jets 21, Dolphins 27. My key takeaway, Aaron Glenn may have a serious depression as his 0-4 team shows him no improvement, only regression. The Jets' poor performance, 3 turnovers, saves Mike McDaniel's job. That's the other key takeaway here. McDaniel probably would have gotten fired if he lost this game. Maybe short-lived, though, but Tyreek Hill was seriously hurt. What was his injury?
Dislocated knee. Out for the year.
He's out, so he's gone. Jets move the ball, 404 total yards, but the turnovers and penalties cost them the game. The Jets' defense, a shell of its former self, which is on Glenn, as he is supposed to be a defensive guru. I thought actually Justin Fields had a pretty good game, 20 of 27, 226 yards and a TD. He had a great run there where he was bottled up. He went back way out around, went down the sideline, scored a TD. The rushing, Fields, he was the leading rusher, 7 rushes, 81 yards, a TD. Hall had 14 carries for 81 yards. I think the game turned really in the beginning of the game because Allen, they were coming down. They were using that power running game. They were using up the clock. They were moving the ball, getting first downs, moving the ball down the field, get down there to score a touchdown. What's Allen do? Fumble the ball.
Yeah.
That to me, that's a that breaks your morale. That has a very negative impact on the team to have that happen. And then what did the Dolphins do? They went right down the field and scored. So, Tua, a pretty good game, 17 of 25, 177 yards, 2 TDs. A chain, he did nicely, 20 carries, 99 yards. Hill had 6 for 67 and Waddle 3 for 48, but now Hill is gone for the rest of the season. And the Dolphins play next week.
I don't know. I'll bring it up in a second.
Yeah, I think
Panthers.
Who?
Panthers.
The Panthers. They probably maybe that will get them in the to 2-3. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm really down on when we get to the Panthers game. I'm really down on Bryce Young. I would say. So that's my takeaway. I mean, the Jets 404 total yards, only 21 points. They have no one to blame but themselves, and they're getting worse. I don't know where they're going now. I mean, it's a coaching thing. It's a leadership thing. It's on Aaron Glenn.
Oh, absolutely it is. Defensive coordinator, defensive-led team, really. Steve Wilkes, a very good, I think, defensive coach. Aaron Glenn just had a great defensive coordinating job with the Detroit Lions. Would you believe the only team in the NFL to have a grand total of 0 takeaways through 4 weeks? Only team. 0 takeaways.
That's terrible.
Not a single one.
How can that be?
Not a fumble loss, not an interception. They've
How can
done
it be?
nothing.
They've
Not
had
a fumble recovery.
Their strength has been their defense. They always said we were only short a quarterback. That was the only thing that was lacking for the Jets. And their defense continued to play well, and now it's a shell of what it used to be. And they have basically the same players.
Yeah, 6 fumbles lost. This is a bad team.
Yeah.
And also, the lack of discipline. You have 13 penalties for 101 yards. That is unacceptable. You had several opportunities. You rushed for basically 200 yards. You averaged 7 yards a carry, and you lose.
It's hard to believe.
It's the New York Jets. Nothing ever goes right. All right, let's go for the next one. Your next weekly recap.
The next one is Bengals and Broncos. My headline there, Bengals without Burrow, not competitive against the Broncos. And they lose 28-3. And my key takeaway, Sean Payton can breathe a sigh of relief as Bo Nix finally got it together and stopped giving him grief. So I'm sure that Sean Payton's a little happier with Bo Nix, even though he did throw an interception right in the end zone there. But that was his one mistake. Besides that, he and the Broncos dominated the hapless Bengals. The Bengals had 5 drives that gained a total of 21 yards on 18 plays. That's pretty bad. Burrow is months away from returning from his turf toe injury. The Broncos' elite defense showed up for this game. Despite one interception, Nix played much better. His passing 29 for 42, 326 yards, not bad. 2 TDs and an interception, no sacks. That helps. Dobbins also had a great game on the ground, 16 carries, 101 yards. And Harvey, I have to point that out, 14 carries for 58 yards. Sutton, 5 for 81 and a TD, and Mims, 6 for 69. So the Bengals were hitting on all cylinders. The Broncos hitting on all cylinders. Their offense playing much better. The defense, we know it's good. The Bengals, on the other hand, they're in deep trouble. I think, they've got, I don't see them winning any games really until Burrow maybe gets back. Browning, 14-25, 125 yards, 3 sacks. Brown, their supposed leading runner, who had 5 yards last week, had 40 this week on 10 carries. Higgins, 3 receptions for 32 yards. Chase, 5 for 23. They've invested, together, hundreds of millions of dollars in these 2 receivers. They're doing nothing. The Bengals are in very deep trouble, even though 2-2. They're lucky they won their first 2 games, but 2-2. I'm not sure they win another game.
Yeah, I agree. You're going up against the Detroit Lions this week? Loss. You go up against the Green Bay Packers next week.
Loss.
The following week. Then you go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers the next week.
Loss.
And then you play the New York Jets.
Maybe they win. Or they're at least competitive.
Right, and then think about it. Late in the year, this is your matchup after your bye week. In Pittsburgh against the Patriots. Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore. That's your first 5 games off of your bye week. And for the love of God, why are the Bengals coming out saying, well, no, we're okay with Jake Browning being our quarterback. We liked what we saw last year, the year before, when he went 4-3. What are you talking about? He can't move the offense. Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 23 yards. He was a Triple Crown winner last year.
Yeah.
He can't buy a reception. Get him the damn football. And him and Zach Taylor are going at it in the sideline. Zach Taylor's done. He should have been fired last year. He's going to be fired this year. There is no way to put it, and he may not survive
particularly when they
to the end of the
spent
season.
all that money on those 2 receivers, and they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
They're doing nothing in any game now.
Right.
Right?
They
didn't even do that much when Burrow was in there.
Well, the offensive line, it can't stop anybody. It's literally a turnstile.
Yeah.
Anyone could go through. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. And like I said, this year, they are 26th in offensive line spending. It shows. They can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Their defense didn't do anything.
And the defense is horrible to boot.
Yeah, Bo Nix, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had a QBR 0-100 of an 82.5. J.K. Dobbins, 100 yards. It's the first 100-yard rusher Sean Payton had in 38 games. Sean Payton doesn't do well in September, and apparently he doesn't let his running backs rush for 100 yards because J.K. Dobbins was the first 100-yard rusher in a game for Sean Payton in the last 38.
No, It's good for the Broncos. They started a little slow last year, and then they got it going. And maybe this is the same formula this year.
This is an ugly
move
game.
Along here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, Dallas surprises Green Bay with Prescott and Pickens playing well. The Green Bay 40, Dallas 40 in a tie. They're both, let's see, Green Bay's 2-1-1 now, and Dallas 1-2-1. My key takeaway: the Packers looked like world beaters out of the gate. Struggled to tie Dallas, which was an unexpected fate. The Packers can't pressure the quarterback, even with Micah Parsons. They can't protect on field goals. They're getting they got another one blocked. They need to get their injured offensive line players back, and they need to figure out how to close out games. Dallas's defense stinks, but their offense keeps them going in games, and they have two games coming up against the Jets and the Packers, which are both winnable. Prescott played well, even without Lamb. I mean, he was 31 of 40 for 319 yards, 3 TDs. That's a nice game for him. And their running game is actually come around here. Williams, 20 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Pickens had a great game, right? 8 carries, 8 receptions, 134 yards, and 2 TDs. On the other side of the ball, the Packers passing. Love, 31 of 43, 337, and 3 TDs. He was not the reason they tied the game. Jacobs either, 22 of 86, 2 TDs. And Jacobs is the leading receiver with 4 receptions and 71 yards. So the Packers, they're looking like the Ravens a little bit. They can't close out in the fourth quarter. Dallas, 2 winnable games coming up. They can get back to maybe 3-2 and 1 tie. Maybe they're still in it.
Well, I disagree. I think Micah Parsons didn't play enough. You're talking about the defensive snaps of 69. Micah plays 47. That's unacceptable. He was having a great game. 10 total pressures, 1 sack, 2 hits, 7 hurries.
Yeah, but overall, the defense didn't play well.
Right, but Micah Parsons wasn't at all the reason why they didn't succeed. Micah Parsons was doing his job. He just didn't play enough. He had, 69 defensive snaps? He played 47 of them. What happened to the other 22? Put him out there. He was dominant the entire game. And you have, lackluster players in his spot. I think that's defensive coaching malpractice there. I think Jordan Love, again, this is a weird game. You tie. Then the bad clock management. They're waiting, and somehow, by maybe, God himself, they're able to just have an incomplete pass with 1 second left to kick the game-tying field goal, which ultimately ended in the tie. And the bad clock management. I thought Jordan Love, he had his moments, but not great. Dallas is shocking a lot of people, crushing expectations, and yeah, I agree. They're going to beat the Jets. They're going to beat the Panthers. We'll see if Jaden Daniels is back by week 7 where they play the Commanders, but, the Cowboys are in a very, very good position right now. We'll just have to wait and see if they can capitalize on it, but so far they have. I think the Packers, their defense was, like a top 3 defense right now, and all of a sudden you let the Dallas Cowboys
score 40 points?
I mean, maybe a little bit fraudulent. I thought Micah should have played more.
Most of them near the end of the game.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. So, ultimately, unfortunate that this game ended a tie, anticlimactic, besides the 1 second. But the field goal didn't really bring much joy to it. It's a field goal. So,
yeah.
it wasn't really, that crazy to watch. But, I'm very, very impressed with the Dallas Cowboys. Green Bay, they need to bounce back here in week 5.
Okay, moving right along here. The Bears pull it out late, helped by Geno's 3 interceptions. Chicago now 2-2. The Raiders 1-3. Score 25-24. My key takeaway: Pete Carroll needs an offensive scheme that provides some deception to give Geno Smith some cover and help prevent more interceptions. My God, Geno throwing interceptions every game. 3 in this game. He had another game where he had 3, and
Chargers,
another one with 2. Yeah. It's like he's leading. He must be close to leading the league in interceptions. Pretty
sure he is. Yeah.
They led to. Those 3 interceptions led to 2 scores by the Bears. Ashton Jeanty finally coming alive with 3 TDs. The Bears defense, they got the 3 interceptions, a red zone stop, and gave the offense multiple opportunities that they really didn't take any advantage of or capitalize on until late in the game. They need to figure out the run game. I mean, they had 2 yards in the first half. I mean, that's horrible. Total yards, the Bears, let's see what they have, 281, and the Raiders 357. So Geno, 14 of 21, 117 yards, 2 TDs, and 3 interceptions. Gente, 21 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. Bowers had 5 receptions, 46 yards. He isn't playing this well. Like last year, he was the rookie, a rookie star. This year, he's really not done so well. The Bears, on the other hand, Williams, 22 of 37, 212 yards, a TD, and an interception. Swift, he had 2 yards in the first half. He finished 14 carries, 38 yards, and 1 TD. And Odunze was the leading receiver, 4 for 69 and 1. And the Bears, I don't know. Maybe they're for real. Won 2 games in a row. That hasn't happened to them for quite a while.
Well, this should have been a Raiders victory. They got a field goal blocked at the very end of the game, but I thought the game planning was terrible. You're just trying to inch closer to kick a 50-plus yard field goal. I understand it's becoming more common now, but you're not a good team. Geno Smith has been an absolute disgusting disgrace for the Raiders. There's no other way to put it. Another inexcusable performance for Geno Smith after making a lot of money. I like how people, when he went to Seahawks, he had a couple of good games, like, oh, the people wrote me off and I didn't write back. Well, I think he's starting to write back a little bit because this is just bad. 7 interceptions. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now, QBR-wise. He put up great numbers last week, and he put up really, really good numbers last week, but lost to Marcus Mariota? Are you kidding me? Max Crosby was a beast in this game. I mean, the Raiders had opportunities to win, several of them. Max Crosby, a lot of batted balls. He even had an interception in this game, a tip pick as well. I just think right now this is an opportunity for the Raiders to win. A relatively easy game to win because I don't understand what the Bears are right now. This was a winnable game. Caleb, that very last drive the Bears had, Caleb Williams drove him right down the field, able to score, so it's impressive, but ultimately, no. This is a big-time Raiders loss. Geno has been terrible for them. And again, Gardner Minshew and O'Connell, better quarterbacks than Geno Smith was for the Las Vegas Raiders and also for Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers would have had, several 100-yard games probably at this point. Except he's getting 46 yards in this game. It's bad.
It's too bad for Geno. I feel kind of bad for him, but I'm sure the Seahawks feel like they made their right move. We'll talk about that game in a few minutes.
By the way, the Bears still can't run the ball. DeAndre Swift, 14 carries, 38 yards. He can't run for the life of them. They can't run the ball. 2 yards
in the first half.
It's bad. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so we already talked about the Chiefs. I said the Chiefs look like Super Bowl contenders against the banged-up Ravens, so we can move on to the next one. The Jaguars beat the 49ers in a battle of overpaid quarterbacks. I have the Jaguars 26 and the San Francisco 21. They both go to 3-1. My key takeaway here, 4 turnovers on offense in Brock Purdy's return are a big disappointment for Shanahan, giving him much concern. And he should have much concern here. Given the combined salary of the 2 quarterbacks was more than $105 million for this year, their play was less than scintillating, I must say. The 49ers D missed Bosa, who was injured. The Jags defense is the reason they are 3-1 with 13 takeaways. It leads the league, 4 against the 49ers. The 49ers have a lot to work on. Their running game, their turnovers, mostly Purdy, red zone woes, special team struggles. And I noticed that Purdy may be questionable for this next game. They probably want to get Mac Jones back out there. You look at the stats here, Purdy 22 of 38, 309 yards, not bad. 2 TDs, but 2 interceptions. And he had another game where he threw 2 interceptions as well. And going back to last year, he was throwing more interceptions. That's a new trend, a bad trend for him. And particularly now making $50 million a year. He's got to do better than that. Christian McCaffrey, is he over the hill? 17 carries, 49 yards. He was also the leading receiver, 6 for 92. Where was Pearsall in this game? He
banged up.
He didn't lead in any stats here. On the Jags side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence, still a big question mark in my mind. 21 of 31, 174 yards. Has he passed for 200 yards yet this season? I'm not sure. He had 1 TD. ATN having a great game and a great year so far. 19 carries, 124 yards, and 1 TD. The receivers, Thomas, again, he's their big star. 5 receptions, 49 yards. Where's Travis Hunter? He had 3 receptions for 42 yards. We were talking, you were questioning whether the Colts are a fraud or not, right? And you said no. I question whether the Jaguars are a fraud.
Oh, big time. 100%.
Yeah.
The only reason why they're in these games is because they're number one in takeaways. They are incredibly dominant.
That's gonna change. I can't see them get
3,
4
3, 3, and 4 takeaways.
I can't
in every
see
single,
that going on much longer.
Correct. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to need to play much better. Yeah, he has 2 games of 200-plus yards, but ultimately he needs to play better. You can't expect going to a game, throw for 174 yards and 1 touchdown. It was fine, but ultimately you can't expect that to win that much. Travis Etienne had another tremendous game, 124 yards and a rushing touchdown. But we have to realize Brock Purdy right now has looked terrible. There's no other way to put it. Oh, but the injuries. Mac Jones, 2-0 with the same basic group. And sometimes he was out Jawan Jennings. He's been out George Kittle. At least Brock Purdy got to play a game with Kittle out there. Mac Jones should have been in this game. Purdy, he was sore. Purdy apparently said that he was fine during the game, but then called up Kyle Shanahan saying, yeah, I feel sore. But I didn't in the game. Well, he was sailing balls. He did not look good. He did not have a lot of poise in the pocket.
He had two interceptions, and he fumbled it, too.
Yeah, I think right now, Brock Purdy, he should get healthy. Not calling him a bad quarterback. He needs to get healthy. Mac Jones should be the starting quarterback.
I bet he will be on Sunday.
I don't care what the quarterback is. Spoiler alert for the last topic of today's show, I fully expect the Niners to lose. But at least keep, who's supposedly your franchise quarterback, keep him healthy. Don't keep putting him out there to try to, eke out unlikely wins and then end up injuring your franchise guard who we're paying $53 million per year to. Again, I love this title, T. Lowen's Battle of Overpaid Quarterbacks, because right now, neither of these quarterbacks are earning their money. 100%.
Right. Okay, moving along. Okay, so the Rams pull it out against the Colts with the long TD pass at the end of the game. You gave a very nice summary of this game and analysis. I'm not going to get into it.
Sure.
I agreed with that. So let's move along. Mayfield Magic missing an Eagles win over the Bucs. Eagles 31, Bucs 25. The Bucs fell behind 21-3 early, but still mounted a second half comeback that made the Eagles worry. The Bucs could have won, but a blocked punt returned for a touchdown by the Eagles was too much, even for the magician Baker Mayfield this week. The Eagles' special teams, 2 blocked field goals last week and a blocked punt this week, were the difference in both games. It's the second blocked punt for the Bucs this year. What are they doing? They have to figure that out. That's unacceptable. Chase McLaughlin, 65-yard field goal was the longest in NFL history outdoors. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was something, huh? The Eagles' offense went to sleep in the second half. The passing stats for the Bucs, Mayfield, 22 of 40, 289, 2 TDs, and an interception. This guy's having a great year. I got to say. I mean, they almost came back and won this game. They played much better in the second half. They just got too far behind at the beginning. Irving is a nice player as well. 15 carries for 63 yards. Whitehead 6 for 17. Irving was the leading receiver, 5 for 102 yards and a touchdown. Egbuka is a nice player for them too. 4 receptions, 101 yards and a TD. Hurts, on the other hand, 12 of 24, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. So really not much through the air. And you mentioned that the Brown is now starting to make noise again.
Oh, I'm going to read you the quote he had because it's ridiculous.
Okay. Well, let me finish my. Hurts was the leading rusher, 9 for 62. Where's Barkley this season? He had 19 carries for 43 yards. I guess they were keying on him. The receptions, Goddard, 4 for 37, 2 touchdowns. Barkley, 4 for 31. Brown, nowhere to be seen.
A.J. Brown's Twitter post after the game. If you're not welcome, not listened to, quietly withdraw. Don't make a scene. Shrug your shoulders and be on your way. A.J. Brown, for the 3rd consecutive year, when they're winning games, has an issue. And I could kind of understand it because he's already won a Super Bowl ring. He's done the ultimate goal that every player wants to do. Now it's all about legacy. And the fact that he got targeted 9 times and 95% of those targets were badly thrown balls, 2 catches for 7 yards, I'd be pissed too. I'd absolutely be ticked off because right now a backup tight end and my 4th string wide receiver is producing more than I am. This is a team that throws it the least amount in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. He is a great quarterback. It's passing wise, it's looked ugly.
I think they need more balance. I mean, they do have Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. Those guys are 2 all-pros. And they have Hurts who can throw the ball. He's a solid passer. And they're going to come up against some games here where they're going to need to throw the ball more. They need to get a little more balance in their offense, I think.
Well, fortunate. Like, this game, we'll see. They're going up against the Denver Broncos. I believe they're 4.5-point favorites at home against the Denver Broncos. At Giants, at Vikings, home against the Giants. So there's an opportunity, realistically, for this team to be 8-0 heading into Green Bay and then playing home against the Detroit Lions. So there's an opportunity for this team to pull out 12, 13, maybe even 14 wins this season. But will A.J. Brown be there to see it? I think he'll just suck it up for this season and say, well, if I get, 100 targets but only 50 catches, sure. I don't think that this is not a Super Bowl winning team right now. I think that you cannot just keep relying on Jalen Hurts being your primary runner, Saquon being, like you mentioned, having a lackluster year, not really producing at anywhere near the same level.
Who in the NFC do you think would be the
Rams.
head of the Rams or
the
ahead
Rams.
of the Eagles?
I think the Rams are up there. I think the Lions right now, they're getting sort of sorted out right now. I think the Buccaneers, they can't have Baker Mayfield trying to win every single damn game with under a minute left.
They beat themselves in this game with the blocked punt.
Right. So
that went for a touchdown.
And again, the Seahawks are 3-1. Their defense is really good. Sam Darnold, I don't think is good enough to make it very far, but their defense is relatively good. But I think right now your biggest threats are the same ones really last year. The Rams and the Detroit Lions. The Cowboys, I don't think are going to do anything. The Commanders are so banged up and old.
Not going to do anything.
Yeah, the Vikings aren't going to do anything. The Packers
maybe.
They're a massive question mark. They're I think, still the youngest team in the NFL. We'll see what they are. But ultimately, no. I think this Eagles team, A.J. Brown, I don't know what his end game is. I don't know what his goal is, although I do know that there's a team that he wanted to go to that still might want him. New England Patriots. They seem to be needing a true
if
deep
I were
threat.
him, I'd want to say on the Eagles.
He won his ring. Now it's all about what you want. Do you want numbers or another ring?
But he's gonna get some catches. You wait and see. There's gonna be some games.
It's
where
already
they're gonna have
9
to throw the
times,
ball.
2 catches, 7 yards. So it's bad.
Okay,
Next
here we
one.
go. Buffalo beats Saints despite lackluster performance. Buffalo 31, Saints 19. Buffalo 4-0, Saints 0-4. Key takeaway, although the game was one-sided and the Saints were smothered, Buffalo left their foot off the gas this week and couldn't cover. And I was disappointed by that. They had a 15.5-point spread, and they didn't cover, and we both picked them to cover and lost out on that. Both Buffalo's offense and defense stalled out in the mid-game. 11 penalties allowed Saints to start 4 drives in Buffalo territory. Cook was the star for Buffalo, I thought, with 117 yards rushing. Defensive tackling was terrible. It's an issue for Buffalo. They've got to figure that out, or they're not going to go very far. The Saints played their best game in a loss, cutting down on penalties, improving in all 3 phases of the game, showcasing a young talent in Sanker and Miller. Allen managed the game in this one, I think. 16 of 22, 209 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. Cook, I said, was a star, 22 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown. Allen had 7 carries for 45 and a touchdown. Shakir was the leading receiver, 5 for 69 and a TD. Coleman had 3 for 45. Rattler, on the other hand, 18 of 27, a touchdown, no interceptions. Kamara, 15 of 70 yards. And Miller, their rookie, he came in for 11 for 65. And Shaheed, 4 for 47. I mean, the Saints, they're terrible. I guess they're improving a little bit, but I think we're going to pick the games on Friday, but I say the Giants have a good chance to beat them.
The Saints are favored, by the way, at home.
The Saints are
1.5-point favorites.
I don't know. I'm going to pick an upset on that one. I think with Jaxson Dart, the new enthusiasm and all that, I think they find a way to win.
Maybe.
Buffalo, on the other hand, don't get complacent here. You got to play tough here. It will come back to haunt you later on. And I think they were maybe a little asleep at the switch here in this game because they didn't look that great.
I agree. 12 missed tackles. Unacceptable. against a team as poor as this, against a quarterback who is winless, 0-10. And for some reason, Tyler Shuck still isn't playing. I'm not sure why. The only reason why this game wasn't even closer, or maybe the Saints win, it should have been 26 for the Saints, was because they did a gadget play, I believe, close to the end of the first half, where it got intercepted. It was a bad play. The Saints were driving right down the field, then they do this weird play, and it got picked off on a target to Spencer Rattler. So this game should have been much closer than it actually was. Thank God the Bills were able to pull it out, but I think this said way more about the Saints. They're a weird, annoying team because they'll keep you in. They'll screw up some point spreads.
Yeah, well, so far Rattler has his record intact. He has not won a game.
Correct. I think
as a starter, I think he's 0-10 now.
He's 0-10. I think the record is 0-15.
Is it? Okay.
Deshaun Kaiser, way back when.
They're probably hoping they can win next week. This against
That's
the Giants.
their best opportunity. But right now, it's not looking great. Let's go to the next one.
Moving along here. We're back to the Giants. My headline here, Giants throw dart in Chargers' heart. And my key takeaway, Jaxson Dart got his first start, and his contribution to the win made Daboll look smart. The one thing you covered this game, and I don't want to say anything more. You had a lot of good points on it. The one thing I would say, Brian Daboll is an insane guy. At the end of the game, he was like, I couldn't believe he was like,
he was ecstatic,
He was going nuts. Come on, guy. You know, you're a little overweight there. Take it easy, Buster. You can only give yourself a heart attack. I said this once before, a couple of years ago. He's going up and down the sideline, screaming and yelling at everybody, you know. I don't think that's good. I really don't. But, you know, Neighbors is out with the ACL for the whole year now.
That's funny.
I don't know. I think Daboll is still. He may have thought, hey, guess what? I made a real smart move here. We won this game against the Chargers.
Yeah.
My job is saved. I'm not so sure. He had that funny hat on and the sideline there. He doesn't look like a head coach to me. Yeah.
Hey. Jaxson Dart, man.
Yeah.
Daboll's looking, like you mentioned,
threw
Daboll's
a dart
looking smart.
into Chargers' heart. Yeah,
it made Daboll look quite smart.
I was shocked. Okay, here we go.
He's gonna have a hard
Next game, Flacco, 2 interceptions, costly and lost to Lions. The Lions win 34-10. They're 3-1 now. The Browns 1-3. The Browns offense is really wacko with 2 more interceptions. It's time to say goodbye to Joe Flacco. I got to say that.
Damn.
I have to say that. He's a statue out there. He throws at least 2 picks a game. You know, I think that their offense is going nowhere with him. Why not try one of the younger guys? I think that would be a good move at this point. They're 1-3. The Lions offense, one of the best with 34 points against the Browns defense, which is one of the best. They do have a great defense. Gibbs had a good game, 91 yards. St. Brown had 2 TDs. Goff, not such a great game. Goff to Williams, they were trying it, but it wasn't working in this game. Flacco lost a fumble in addition to the 2 interceptions. Is a league-high 8 turnovers. Backup lineman Lucas couldn't control Hutchinson, giving up 2 sacks. They didn't put anybody back there to help that guy. I think that was a big mistake. Goff, 16-27, 168 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. A little low production for him. Gibbs, a good game, 15 for 91. Montgomery, where was he? 9 for 12. St. Brown, 7 for 70, 2 TDs. Williams, 2 for 40. Flacco, 16-34, 184, no TDs, 2 interceptions. Judkins, 21 carries, 82 yards, a TD. Bond was the leading receiver, 3 for 58. Judy had 3 for 48. So the Browns have no offense. And Flacco he's old and he's a statue. He throws too many interceptions, turning the ball over. I mean, why not just go to game management? And with the defense that good, just try to run the ball more. I don't know. I mean, those turnovers, when you know you don't have a very good offense, they're going to lose every game.
Yeah. No, they are. Surprisingly, though, they don't have the worst offense in the NFL. It's hard to imagine, but they're 31st in points scored. They're averaging 14 points a game.
Where'd they get that logo? Look at that logo.
It's an alternate. It's the dog pound.
I don't like that. I think that who came up with that? I don't know.
Don't ask me.
Okay.
They do have the number 1 total defense, though. I will say that. Yeah. So their defense is not.
Well, what should they do on offense? What do you think?
I don't disagree. I will say, though, in this game in particular, they had more players go negative in rushing yards than they did players who went positive in rushing yards. Judkins, though, is a hit. That's a complete hit. And I think Dylan Sampson, when he was replacing Judkins because of the off-the-field issue, he did a fine job early in the season. He only had one carry in this game for -2 yards. And I will say, again, you're not going to run the football that much when you're down by like 20. So maybe in a closer game, we'll see more production on the offense. But this is just ultimately, it's the Cleveland Browns. That's why I picked them under 4.5 over-under win-loss. They were just really, really bad.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along here. The Titans' disastrous season continues and lost to Texans. Houston 26, Titans nothing. The Titans are a disaster 4 weeks in, which is likely to make Coach Callahan stop binging on gin. The Titans have not scored a TD in 2 of their 4 games. No rhythm on offense, and the defense wears down late in games. It may get even worse with 2 trips to the West Coast and then Vrabel at home. What do you think, Mike Vrabel? He's going to want to beat them badly. Texans running game found a spark with rookie Woody Marks. C.J. Stroud played better, leading 3 straight TD drives. But the Titans, man, I don't know. Maybe they're not going to win a game. Ward, 10 of 26, 108 yards. No TDs, interception. Pollard, 14 for 64. A guy I never heard of, Yanamar, is 2 for 44 yards receiving. Ridley, where's he been all year? 2 for 30 yards. Stroud, a little better, 2 of 28, 233, 2 TDs. I mentioned Marks and the rookie, 17 of 69. Chubb had 13 for 47. Collins, decent game, 4 for 79. Marks, 4 for 50. So Houston wins, but I don't know. In terms of frauds, I wonder whether they might be a fraud.
This was the first game where Brian Callahan demoted himself, gave offensive play calling role to the quarterback coach,
didn't help.
and they scored a phenomenal 0 points, and Cam Ward went, 10 of 28? So maybe Brian Callahan is the best of the worst, because this was bad.
Maybe they should give Cam Ward a rest. Let him watch for a while.
Watch who?
Levis. Put him in there.
Will Levis. I'm surprised Will Levis is still on the roster.
Why not? Why not let Cam Ward watch for a game or two?
You can't have Will Levis. He's on IR. You need to put in Brandon Allen.
Oh, well, then maybe not.
But still, it's bad. Like this is really, really bad. The Titans are terrible. They have no talent offensively. Their offensive line is not great. You drafted J.C. Latham a couple years ago. You drafted Peter Skoronski a couple years ago. You brought in Tyler Lockett. You gave Calvin Ridley took less money to join the Titans over the Patriots. Who's in a better situation now, the Patriots or the Titans?
Patriots
I'll take the Patriots by a long shot.
With the Titans' former coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard's not great. Okonkwo I actually like, but this defense is not great whatsoever. L'Jarius Sneed has been a massive disappointment. Xavier Woods is not great. Amani Hooker is disappointing. I mean, there is no real, consistent talent at all on the Tennessee Titans, and the fact that the head coach demoted himself in the play calling role to the QB coach, and the QB coach called a beautiful game, which led to 0 points in Cam Ward. He wasn't looking great already. He looked somehow worse. The bar actually lowered on how bad he could be. We're in Bryce Young, first overall pick bust territory right now, and I think
it's a little early for that. It's a little early for bust for Cam Ward. I think that he's on a bad team.
We're in that territory, though. You can't say
4 games. I don't think call him a bust yet.
10 of 28, 0 points. Bryce Young was terrible, but Cam Ward is 100% in that territory.
Bryce Young is terrible.
Well, speaking about that, let's go to the next game
here. Okay, so the Panthers lose again with Young playing poorly. Patriots 42, Panthers 13. Pats are now 2-2, Panthers 1-3. My key takeaway here, watching Bryce Young go through the motions and be ineffective is hard to see. His 1-16 career record on the road makes him look like a bust to me. And I think he is a bust. I haven't watched him really in a whole game. He's out there, he just doesn't have any enthusiasm, or, when he makes a mistake, he goes all up in arms, and, he was just poor in this game. Marcus Jones had an 87-yard punt return for a TD, and the Pats never looked back. 167 punt return yards for Marcus Jones in this game are the most in Patriots history. Drake May looked pretty good, playing against one of the worst defenses in the league. No fumbles by the running backs. That's notable, right?
That's a plus.
Yeah. Emergence of Stephon Diggs. 101 yards receiving. I thought that was good. Young Miss McMillan on 2 open long passes. Dreadful special teams. The Canales took the blame for failure in all 3 phases of the game. Well, maybe he should be fired. And the Pats stats, May only threw the ball 17 times, completed 14 for 203 yards and 2 TDs. Stevenson, the leading receiver, but again, only 9 carries, 38 yards, and they're making it a running back by committee now. Henderson had 17 for 32 yards. Diggs, as I mentioned, 101 yards on 6 receptions. Henry, I think he's one of their best offensive players, 2 for 39 and a TD. Young, 18 for 30, 150 yards, 1 touchdown. Dalton was in there, and I bet they bench Young again. He was 5 for 6, 58 yards and a TD, making a case. Put me in, coach. Hubbard, 10 carries, 49 yards. McMillan, 4 catches, 62 yards. The Panthers are abysmal. They're abysmal. They're awful. Come on. They looked in the second half of last year like maybe they were going to do something. What a disappointment. They're awful.
No, they're really bad. Yeah, the last year, that little run that Bryce Young went on, I think that was just a
fluke.
100%. And again, same thing with the Brian Daboll thing. I think Dave Canales is a fine coach. I don't think he's the issue. I think you can't make unplayable quarterbacks great. You can make them passable, and that's what we saw last year.
Well, that was his supposed specialty. He makes quarterbacks play well.
Well, I think it was
he
more
finds a way to make him play well. Bryce Young, there's no way to make that guy play well, I don't think.
Well, the reason why we thought that is because we saw last year, the year before with Baker Mayfield? It was 2 years ago. Was it last year? No, last year was Liam Cohen. 2 years ago with Baker Mayfield, where they performed very, very well. But could that just have been Baker Mayfield just being a good quarterback? Leaving Carolina, leaving the Rams, leaving the Cleveland Browns, coming over onto Tampa, a solid, stable organization, and just doing normal things.
Baker Mayfield got the shaft from the Cleveland Browns.
I 100% agree.
He was injured, and they kept him out there playing, and he tried to play because he's a competitive guy.
Right.
And he looked bad, but it was because he was hurt, not because he was a bad quarterback.
Right. No, and that was my take when he went to Carolina.
You said he was never going to start again in the NFL. Remember that? I'll never forget that.
Right. That's when Steve Wilkes benched him for P.J. Walker. How do you get benched for P.J. Walker,
well, then
who I don't even think is in the league anymore?
That's why Steve Wilkes is not a head coach in the NFL.
That might be. No, but even then, when we talked about the trade from Cleveland to the Panthers, I 100% agree with you, and I still do agree with you. I thought he should have won the opening day against the Cleveland Browns when the Panthers played them. But, this is bad. The Patriots, Drake May has done a fine job. Defense needs to improve a little bit. But again, Marcus Jones played the role that he should. Quick, shifty, gadget, special teams guy. Yeah. Stop sending him out there against 6'3", could be wide receiver 3s. They're just going to keep chucking it to him.
I give Josh McDaniels a lot of credit in this game. He's making Drake May more of a manager of the game, not throwing the ball all over the place. 17 passes and running and relying on the running game, but doing it by committee, so they're not fumbling every time.
Right.
So that was a nice job by Josh McDaniels.
They also bring different skill sets as well, so you don't each running back does something a little bit different than the other one. So you could bring multiple situations. Henderson outside, Ramondre inside, Antonio Gibson, a little bit of a blend of both. I mean, Josh McDaniels is doing a fine job. Again, there's some coaches that are better coordinators than head coaches. McDaniels fits into that category. Yeah. He's playing the role properly.
Okay, moving right along. Penix and Robinson star and win over Commanders. Atlanta 34, Washington 27. I'd say my key takeaway here is time to get Jaden Daniels back in the game, because without him, the Commanders' offense just isn't the same. The Commanders lack explosive offense without Daniels, McLaurin, and Noah Brown. The worst performance by Mariota since joining Washington. Defense needed to play well, but gave up 436 yards. The Falcons' offense came to life after a shakeup with firing Ike Hilliard as the receivers coach and making the offensive coordinator come out of the press box and down on the sidelines. Robinson had a career-high 181 yards from scrimmage. Penix had 2 TD passes and more than 300 yards passing. He was 20 of 26, 313, 2 TDs and 1 interception. Robinson, 17 rushes, 75 yards and 1 touchdown. London, 8 receptions, 110 yards and a TD. Robinson, 4 receptions for 106 yards. That guy's a player. He really is. He is their offense in my book. Mariota, 16 of 27, 156 yards, 2 TDs and interception. You got to get Jaden Daniels back out there. Rodriguez was the leading rusher with 7 for 59 yards. Deebo Samuel, 6 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown. I'm surprised they didn't put Deebo in the backfield to run the ball in this game. You know, without
you have 3 carries.
Yeah. So, you know, I Commanders need to get Jaden Daniels back out there. He's the guy that makes them click.
I 100% agree. 2 100-yard receivers. What's it called? Kyle Pitts, 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel had 72 yards. The next highest was Luke McCaffrey and Zach Ertz tied at 21 apiece. That is unacceptable. The defense of the Commanders is very, very poor this season compared to last year, where they were actually very respectable. They weren't great. They were 13th in the league, but this year they're terrible. I believe they're 24th. They need to figure something out, and Jaden Daniels, they need him out there. I agree with you, but this is bad. You got to figure this out. They looked old and slow, and they're playing exactly the way they are.
Yeah.
They're the oldest team in the NFL, and they're playing like it 100%. But I'll give credit where credit's due. Penix played well. 300 yards passing, couple touchdowns here and there. You know, he's getting back on track.
We'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, next game.
Okay, Steelers defense key and win over Vikings. Pittsburgh 24, Vikings 21, played in Ireland, Dublin. My key takeaway here, the Steelers' opportunities to put together a string of wins is immense if they can continue to get performances like the one on Sunday from their defense. Okay? The defense, 6 sacks, 10 tackles for losses against Wentz, who was a statue out there. The return of Deshaun Elliott was key in stopping the run. The interception by Watt was nice. Steelers' running game came to life with Gainwell, no less. Warren was hurt. He scored 2 TDs, rushing for 99 yards on 6, and had 6 catches too. Aaron Rodgers managed the game pretty well, 18 of 22, 200 yards, a touchdown. The Vikings O-line all banged up. Wentz sacked 6 times. They need to get McCarthy back in there, I think. Although Wentz, 30 of 46, 350 yards, 2 TDs, but 2 key interceptions. Mason, 16 for 57, and Jefferson, 10 for 126. They had him in the game. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a way to clean it up so Wentz can be a reclamation project like Darnold was last year, but it wasn't in this game.
I think right now, yeah, I agree with you. Carson Wentz, 2 interceptions. He looked like Carson Wentz out there. He didn't look very good whatsoever. He took 6 sacks. The Steelers did a great job defensively. Aaron Rodgers, he played incredible. DK Metcalf and an 80-yard touchdown, which is absolutely ridiculous. They ran the ball shockingly well. 99 yards from Kenneth Gainwell. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest surprise.
But
Kenneth Gainwell, a career backup.
Don't you think that's the key for the Steelers, though? If they
need
can
to
run the ball.
100%.
If they can run the ball,
100%.
it sets up the play action for Rodgers. He's great in that. If they've got a running game and they're not just keying on Rodgers, the Steelers could do something.
Correct. And that's what you need. That's why, I thought Caleb Johnson, that pickup for in the offseason was a fine one. Then it was a draft pick. Kenneth Gainwell is shocked, though. That was really surprising. Jaylen Warren down. You bring up Kenneth Gainwell. He has the production like this. I think the Steelers want to stay in Dublin always if Rodgers in the offense is going to have a performance like this. Interesting thing, Vikings stay in the international games this week. Again, I believe. Week 5, I think, is another international game for them. They need to bounce back. They're now 4-1 in international games in the regular season. I expect them to bounce back because the defense in this game couldn't stop Rodgers. It was dink, dunk, moving the chains, running the ball. Aaron Rodgers executing at a very, very high level. And then late in the game, they had a chance. Defense was able to stop Carson Wentz in any comeback opportunity. Steelers defense came up big here. TJ Watt, I feel like he finally got a sack after so long. I mean, I think there was a stat out there saying like T.J. Watt hasn't had a sack in his last 16
it was a
games,
long time.
something like that.
It was a long time. He
Yeah.
finally got one.
I mean, I think right now, ultimately, their defense is going to be just fine. So, good job for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz went back to being Carson Wentz.
The Steelers have some easy wins out there going forward, right? Their schedule's not that bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, I bet them before the season over 8.5 because you always bet the Steelers over 8.5. So we'll see. Let's go to the next game.
Okay, final game here. Seahawks dominance over Cardinals continues to win. This is the 8th win in a row that the Seahawks have had over the Cardinals. They have that number. Seattle 23, Arizona 20. Seattle now 3-1. They're looking pretty good. My key takeaway here: Seahawks are 3-1 with Darnold not lacking, making them glad they sent Geno Smith packing. Darnold to Smith Njigba is a formidable duo. Njigba, one of the best receivers in the NFL now. Darnold effective running the ball as well. Seahawks defense is consistently good. On the other side of the ball, Murray, his QBR rating 27.8, 2 interceptions. Harrison, mostly at fault on the 2 interceptions. He's bobbling the ball, and the defense takes it away. Arizona needs to figure out how to get the offense going, reduce plays for losses, not going, no gains or 1 or 2 yards, and convert on 3rd down. The Darnold, 18 for 26, 242 yards, a TD. Walker, 9 for 81. Njigba, 4 for 79. I like the Seahawks. They're better than I thought they were going to be. And Darnold is looking like maybe he's for real. The Cardinals, on the other hand, Murray, 27 of 41, 202 TDs, 2 interceptions. They got it going late, but it was too late, too late. Murray was the leading rusher, 5 for 41 yards. That tells you a lot about their running game. Harrison was the leading receiver, 6 for 66 yards. I don't know. Do you think he's really that good, Harrison?
He's been very, very disappointing. He had a very promising rookie year, but the whole point about having a good rookie year is that when you become a veteran, you're supposed to build upon what you already had.
Yeah.
And Harrison has 6 interceptions forced. He's given Kyler Murray 6 interceptions when targeted. That has to change.
Yeah.
He looked like he was in his own head, very indecisive, caring more about maybe getting hit than focusing on catching the football. He got a nice touchdown catch late in the game, but he's got to figure it out in these next couple of weeks and really, lock in and be an effective wide receiver if the Cardinals want to do anything. Because Kyler Murray, he's very athletic, doesn't use his legs very often. He has a really, really decent arm, but he's a limited quarterback ultimately. You can't trust him in a big spot. You can't trust him really game to game under pressure. It's a bit rough. Sam Darnold, he looked fine. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see a little bit better late in the game, making some big-time plays. He had on the very last drive, I think it was more so because the Cardinals were playing like a prevent defense for a touchdown when they were about to kick like a 50-yard field goal. So all they did was run it, which, again, that's bad defensive calling. On the Jonathan Gannon and Jeff Ulbrich, their DC, you got to be better.
Yeah.
You have to be better. So Seahawks, good win. Cardinals, though, ultimately, they end up. Very quickly, let's get to our next topic here, which is Thursday Night Football. The Rams, that little top bar. I guess I don't have the top bar, so we'll close it out. Rams at 49ers at Rams, excuse me. The Rams are 5.5-point favorites here. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, all questionable for this game. They are banged up with injuries. You lost Nick Bosa, torn ACL. He was out for this game. We have no idea what this team, the offense will look like. Maybe without Brock Purdy, maybe without... They may be out 3 offensive players right now, already banged up. So here's my question to you. Ultimately, who do you think gets this NFC West rivalry victory, the Rams or the 49ers here?
Rams win and cover.
I completely agree. Rams defense is going to obliterate that 49ers offensive line.
I will say this.
If Purdy plays, I think this could be a 15-point victory because that defense is going to eat. The Rams defense is going to just absolutely make Purdy uncomfortable. And if he's already banged up, I think this is a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Mac Jones does not like pressure. I like seeing him succeed. Hate his motion. His throwing motion scares the crap out of me because during the Patriots, the end of his tenure, those weird throws ended up being interceptions.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit worried. If it's Brock Purdy, you have a better shot, but still he's banged up. He was air-mailing passes. He keeps throwing interceptions. That's something Mac Jones doesn't do. He threw 1. Mac Jones and Brock Purdy operating this offense, both of them at a very similar level. I think ultimately keep your franchise guy healthy, play Mac Jones. If Brock Purdy is a 50-50, you're going to lose this game regardless.
You know what? If Mac Jones does wind up playing and somehow the 49ers find a way to win and Mac Jones plays well, maybe that quarterback controversy.
I think Mac Jones has a shot at being a starter, maybe with the Saints, maybe go over to the Titans, maybe quarterback
I don't see that Shanahan wanted to draft him.
He did,
and they got Trey Lance instead. If he winds up playing well and he plays
to Carolina,
he winds up playing a lot of snaps this season, and the 49ers wind up being good. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I'm going to make a prediction. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
I think this could happen. In in 2 years, a year from now, Mac Jones Raiders. Mac Jones to the Raiders. Geno Smith is terrible. You can't get much worse.
I feel bad for Geno. He's had some good years since he came off the scrap heap from the Jets and wound up starting for the Raiders the first couple of years. I mean, for the Seahawks the first couple of years, he was good. They made the playoffs, right? And now he's
and we're leading.
Now, you know what? He
against
does
the Niners.
The team. The team has some talent too. You look at the wide receivers.
Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker's good. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. There's guys. Ashton Genty had a great game, and Geno was throwing it to Bears players again, just like I forget who did I talk. The Geno Smith. They wear white, silver, and black. They don't wear blue, orange. They don't wear powder blue, Hawaiian blue, whatever the Chargers wear, and electric yellow. Throw it to your guys, and you generally succeed a little bit more.
Yeah.
Flacco having 2 picks every single game, basically, that he plays.
They should sit him.
I think
give somebody else a chance. What's the difference? 1 and 3.
We haven't talked about this because, we only do a set amount of time for the show. Shedeur Sanders has been running scout team. Not even second team reps, third scout team.
That's sad.
Scout team.
Oh, well.
Although, Shedeur turned down the Ravens, I think the Eagles, and there was another team that he turned down. The Ravens were going to take him in the 5th round.
Yeah.
He said, no, I don't want to be Lamar's long-term backup.
Well, I can understand that.
Well, and then Deion Sanders came out and said, well, what do you learn from sitting? And that was a bit of a hot take because you can think about a lot of really good quarterbacks who sat.
He's not going to get his chance in Cleveland. It doesn't look like.
He 100% will.
You think so? In Cleveland?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, what about the other guy?
Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah.
There's a shot.
Isn't he ahead of Sanders?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But
so why not put him in there? I would start him. Look what happened with the Giants when they started Dart. He put the dart in the Chargers' heart. So why not let Dylan Gabriel try to play for who are the Browns playing next week?
Let's see. Cleveland Browns are playing the Minnesota Vikings.
Why not give him a try
in an international game?
Okay. Well, he'd be overseas. He couldn't have any fans booing him then, right? There won't be any home fans there. So why not put him in?
Maybe. Little update: Red Sox game 2-1 Red Sox.
All right.
Masataka Yoshida drove in 2 runs.
Nice.
Yeah, that's bottom of the 7th. The Yankees are up now, so we'll see if they take game 1.
I'm gonna go watch the rest of the game.
Yeah, well, here we go. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Harvey Hour. We'll recap everything again if you're still here. Harvey Hothead.
Harvey Hour and 45 minutes tonight.
Harvey Hothead. Colts -6.5. I'm going to lock that in on
pick. Friday.
That might move to 7. So get that 6.5. I locked it in. A couple sportsbooks had it at 7. So able to get it. FanDuel 6.5. We'll talk about that. Obviously, that's a little spoiler for it. I may. What do you think? Lock it in for 5.5 Rams.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So then those are 2 Harvey Hothead picks.
Too many injuries on the 49ers.
I agree with that. 5.5 point spread. So we'll lock that one in too. I may give 4 others plus the Colts. So we'll see. For this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been the co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Friday. Recap Thursday Night Football. We'll preview all of Week 5's games. We'll talk about some of the hottest headlines in the NFL and around. Jonathan Kuminga finally signed a contract after having this long process of just complete nonsense that broke early in the show. It's a 2-year deal, so they got that done. But yeah, we'll see you Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Go Grandpa, go Red Sox.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.